On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, we're going to be analyzing the thrilling victory the Chiefs had over the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. So let's start with the storyline of the game. And well, it didn't quite start the way we had hoped it would start. The offense started out 3 and out, got skunked in the first quarter, only put up 7 in the second quarter. It was the first time ever that the Chiefs have punted 4 times in the first half at Arrowhead during a Patrick Mahomes start. So the Chiefs were lucky to go into halftime down only 10-7. Things began to change with a solid Chiefs drive at the very end of the third quarter. But to open the fourth, Andy actually went the conservative route, deciding to tie the game at 20 with a field goal instead of going for a touchdown. Then the game suddenly flipped. With the Chargers driving down the field, all tied up, rookie corner Jalen Watson stepped in front of a Justin Herbert pass right at their end zone and returned the interception 99 yards to the house. A sudden 14-point swing. The Chargers thought they were getting 7. Oh no, in one play, the Chiefs got 7 instead. Late in the fourth quarter, the Chargers tried to challenge with a last-minute touchdown, but after a failed onside kick, the game ended 27-24 with the Chiefs on top. It was a ton of fun to watch. Yeah, a little bit of a nail-biter, was kind of holding my breath. Not too excited in the first half, but a great game to watch at the end. So who was the player of the game for our Chiefs? I'm giving it to Chris Jones. Number 95 dominated the Chargers' interior offense line all game, helping consistently knock a very good offense out of rhythm. My favorite play of his was the sack that was nearly a safety that put an end to a Chargers third quarter drive and swung the momentum back to KC. He also had a timely tackle for loss to force a punt in the fourth quarter. He ended the night with 5 quarterback pressures, 2 sacks, and 2 tackles for loss. I mean, those are just plain all-pro numbers. People need to be paying attention to this guy in national media. He's incredible. And hey, before we get to who else played well or poorly, make sure to subscribe to the Red and Gold Report on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel, like this video. This channel is a weekly Chiefs news channel, always from the unique perspective of looking at the Chiefs personnel. So make sure you subscribe. Who else played well on defense? Well, obviously, we got to mention rookie 7th rounder and former Wendy's employee, Jalen Watson. With Trent McDuffie out with an injury, Watson started the game by getting really picked on by the Chargers, particularly by wide receiver Mike Williams for LA. But then it happened. With about 10 minutes, 42 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the game was all tied up, and the Chargers were just yards from a touchdown when Watson used a veteran move to step right in front of a wide receiver, intercept the ball, and return it for 99 yards for a touchdown. It was a 14-point swing that the Chargers were never able to bounce back from. Without that one play, we would have lost the game. In that one play, the Chiefs' win probability rose from 31% to 85% in one play. Who else played well? Well, linebacker Willie Gay had an excellent game. I thought he turned in one of his best performances as I watched. His effort looked on really another level than usual. He was very aggressive. He was flying around. He seemed to be playing angry. He was very passionate, and he finished with 2 tackles for loss, 11 tackles, which actually led the team in tackles. Now, does he play a little wild? Oh, yeah. Did that result in a missed tackle or 2? Yes, it did. But I loved his effort. Really liked what I saw of Willie Gay during the game. Rookie linebacker Leo Chanel also had a pretty solid night in both run support and pass coverage. Nothing spectacular, but a real solid game for him as a rookie. And of course, linebacker Nick Bolton played well, particularly in the run game, particularly on a nice short yardage stop in the third quarter. Who played well on offense? Well, while much of the offensive line struggled, Trey Smith, who was playing injured, had a good night. He only allowed 1 pressure. Good night for him. Really was gutting it out on an injury. We also got to mention wide receiver Justin Watson's catch. I mean, when Hardman went out in the third quarter, kind of nicked up, Watson went in, and on the very next play, caught a 41-yard touchdown pass in tight coverage. Now, if you go back and watch the replay, you're going to notice that the corner even tipped the ball right before it got into Watson's hands. Really, really impressive stuff. Now, running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I know he's often criticized on this channel by me. He had a good game, though. One of his best games, probably as a Chief. He was a good receiver all night long. He ended with 44 yards on 4 catches. You know, if you watch him, it's as if when he becomes a receiver, he's being put in more space. And as a receiver, instead of a runner, he seems to be able to see the field better. I don't know if that's just him as a unique player. I don't know if that's his uh, size being shorter, but he just sees the field a bit better as a receiver. Now, on the ground, most of the night for Clyde Edwards-Helaire was pretty lackluster, except one huge play, which we got to talk about, where he found a nice crease off the tackle for a 52-yard gain. And that was 52 yards while having the smarts of carrying the ball tight with both hands to not allow a fumble in such a crucial late game moment. I mean, that was 21 more yards than his next longest run over the last 3 years as a pro. So, you know, something that he often is criticized for is he really just doesn't have long runs. But hey, 52 yards, that was a great one. That's some progress there. It was also fun to see maybe our 1 week kicker rental, Amendola, make his 2 field goals and 3 extra points. So some good things both on defense and offense, but we got to move over to what didn't go so well. And that was kind of everyone's question with the offense in the first half. So the question is, why did the offense get started so slowly in the first half? It starts with pass blocking. That's the answer. We started slow because of bad pass blocking. The Chiefs' offensive line had a rare night off. Our offensive tackles, Brown and Wiley, they proved absolutely no match for the Chargers' pair of pass rushers in Bosa and Mack. They were both getting beat by all sorts of different moves, stunts, speed rush, bull rush, you name it. It was not going well for offensive tackles, but there were also some miscommunications on the offensive line too, and you saw in the second half that the offense of coaches made sure to get those tackles some help with chips and running backs. Then under pretty constant pressure in the first half because the offensive line struggling, well, Mahomes was forcing too many throws, including a few interceptable balls. Though, obviously, the greatest quarterback in the NFL did settle in by the second half. Now, who else struggled on offense? Well, I got to mention wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He had the most snaps of any wide receiver for the Chiefs in the game, and he was targeted 7 times in the game, tied for the most for the Chiefs. So his usage was really high. He had the most usage of any of our wide receivers, but he only managed to haul in 2 of those 7 targets for only 13 yards. That's just not getting it done. And frankly, it's the same issue he had in Green Bay. It's as if his routes are just not placing him where his quarterback knows he should be. There's something going on there. I hope it gets resolved because he's a very physically talented player. Who wasn't so hot on defense? Well, a lot of our defensive backs struggled. Corner Rashad Fenton did not play well in coverage during this game. He allowed a long reception with a pass interference call tacked on at the end of the first quarter. He also had a costly pass interference in the first quarter that kept the Chargers, going on that first scoring drive. He was just too handsy with wide receivers all night, and they were making catches over him. It was a night to forget for Fitton. L'Jarius Sneed wasn't he wasn't awful, but wasn't quite his normal amazing self. And I gotta mention that I was a bit frustrated with Spags and the defensive coaches at the end of the game. Okay, this is what. Hear me out. Okay, so the Chargers are down and they're trying to come back. Justin Herbert is obviously hurt. He's grabbing his side. He's struggling to even be out there. Now, what do? Well, to me, that's the moment to bring the pressure. Hit the quarterback. Hey, you're in there hurt. We're gonna make you pay for it, right? We're gonna hit you. We're gonna blitz you until you cry uncle and you get out of the game, Herbert. But instead, curiously, they let the gas up. They went back to playing prevent, and well, they allowed the Chargers a last gasp they should never have had. Now, that all brings us to where we now stand. The Chiefs are 2-0. Yeah, it was a close game. Ooh, yeah, that first half wasn't pretty, but it was a victory nonetheless for our Chiefs. Very happy about that. We're starting 2-0. Next week, our Chiefs are going to be headed to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Just a couple things to watch in that game. The Colts are certainly going to test our run defense. They've got potentially the best running back in the league and Taylor. They've got a strong offensive line in the run game. It's going to be a real good test for our defense. But hey, I really like how our linebackers have been playing, and Chris Jones is playing out of his mind. And we got Carl Loftus good against the run. It's going to be a very interesting test for our defense, particularly our run defense. But it's also going to be intriguing to watch the Chiefs' offensive strategy to continue to mold and change as we figure out what receivers are going to be used, how they're going to be used. I mean, our top receiver in week one was Juju Smith-Schuster, and then week two he only gets 3 targets. Who knows how this thing is going to continue to shake out? And of course, another thing to be watching. I'm hoping Harrison Butker can use this extra long week to get his ankle all healed up. And well, that about does it for me. But what stuck out to you on Thursday night? What did you think about some of the coaching decisions? What do you think threw our offense off to kind of start the game? What was your favorite play of the game, if it wasn't Jalen Watson, or even if it was? And what do you think about this upcoming game against the Colts? Leave me your comments in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and go Chiefs!